Nice and straight. Column of chi between the earth and the heavens. Focusing deep into the very core of our bodies. We're just going to make a gentle turn from the core, see how the back feels. Little stretch out. So the class is going to take its usual course today. Just 15 minutes of gentle, easy exercise. You can be done standing up or sitting down as you wish. And if you can't manage it, you can just imagine doing it. And then we can release the waist and let the whole waist gently turn and tap onto the body. So yes, power of the mind to heal the body. And so we always hear about these experiments they do, where they say to people, you go to a gym and lift a weight every day for 15 days or just with one arm. And then they say to other people, you sit on the sofa for 15 minutes every day and imagine lifting the weight. We discover there's almost no difference in the muscle tone between the two. And so, yes, if you find that these exercises are too difficult to do, you can just sit and imagine yourself doing them for 15 minutes. Follow along with the class in your mind. Very powerful place, our minds. Very easy to spend all of our time in our minds. Not enough time in our bodies. And that's really the purpose of this class, is to use simple tools to help us find our way into that relaxed, liminal state of the mind, where you eventually just become the universe. So one of the stories, one of the taglines, to use a modern parlance, one of the taglines of Qigong is moving meditation. So the idea is that through movement, you can find stillness. And I think we all know, the kind of state you get into when perhaps you're just walking without thinking. Well, actually, one of the better examples of it is often when you're sort of driving. You can find that you've driven all the way home and you haven't even thought about the journey at all. Your body's gone completely, or your mind has gone completely onto automatic. And so it's that sort of quiet moment we're looking for, where everything's stopped, where you stop worrying about everything, where you stop thinking about everything, and then your mind can relax and your body can get on with what's required of it. It's terribly easy to overthink health, and it's terribly easy to overthink meditation as well. And so by that, I mean the research into true self, things like that. And so that's been something I've been interested in the last few years. Spent a lot of time reading about people's examples of how their search for true self has gone, and what they've done and how they've set up their lives to deal with finding the true self. But I saw a very lovely comment made by Alan Watts. I listen to Alan Watts whenever I can. I find him absolutely amazing. But there was a lovely comment made by Alan Watts, and he says, if you're trying to research about enlightenment, and if you're trying to read about enlightenment, it's not the same thing as getting enlightenment. And essentially what it is, the image he used is, he says, it's the same as looking at a menu in a restaurant, devouring the menu, rather than actually eating the food, which I thought was a really lovely image. It's exactly right. Staring at the menu for hours on end and thinking how wonderful and how delicious it is, but actually never quite getting to eating anything in the restaurant. And so whilst I enjoy my research work, I don't do it too much these days. I just let thoughts drift by. I don't go seeking too many things. When something pops up, I'll read it and think, oh, lovely, that fits my way of thinking. That's another little key to help open things up. But I don't desperately try and bash down the doors of enlightenment these days. I'm just very happily drifting towards it. And so the first state of enlightenment is this discovery of the place, as it were. But it's a very fragile and wavering state. It comes and it goes. And so I've been there and understand that, and know that you get absolute beautiful moments of total clarity where everything drops into place and you just feel totally at one with your life, at one with the universe. Very beautiful. And then it recedes. And so in the first phase, and the Buddhists say there are 6 or so, I can't remember how many they say, 5 or 6 or 7 different sort of states of mankind. And, you know, when we start to get into this, I always think about it like the waves, the tide, rather. The tide gently comes in for a few hours, and then it gently goes out again. And sometimes you have the spring tide, where it comes rushing in with much more power. And sometimes you have the neap tide, where it just gently goes in, gently comes out, but it doesn't change a huge amount. And it's exactly the same with the search for this next stage. And search for this next stage is also the search for a healing stage as well. So, yeah, just expect that the early foothills are like that. You know, things come and they go, and it's just the way it is. Don't grasp anything too tightly. Don't panic when it disappears, because that state becomes more and more permanent, day by day, month by month, bit by bit. And some people find that it comes crashing in, and they're suddenly, you know, aware of universality and never leaves. Lucky people. Other people find that it comes and it goes. Sometimes it stays longer, then it just drifts. And that's, I think, more likely for most people. Why shouldn't you become enlightened in one moment? That's fine. If you want to, you can. I'm sure it'll be there if you wish. But otherwise, just expect to gently move towards it. It's not an intellectual thing. It's not something we can think our way into. It's just about putting yourself in the way a bit, as often as you can. And eventually, bit by bit, it becomes more permanent, stays more often. Let's go to the second part of this exercise. Slow down a little bit, make the whole thing a little longer. Gently opening, gently stretching, gently relaxing. So we've come back round to a tool called Ming Ju Meditation. Ming Ju is kind of, I can't remember the exact translation. I think it's something like consciousness becoming aware of itself. Ming Ju. So we have this idea of consciousness, and we are in a conscious state, awake, in other words. But it's when that consciousness can actually see itself that it becomes more relevant, that we're approaching these foothills of enlightenment. So let's just park that idea for a moment and then just say that, as a recap, the problems we have in our life are created by our life. The problems we have in our life are created by our mind, created by the things we tell ourselves, created by society, created by family. And if we step out of that, stand back from that, allow ourselves to be in this true self state, then we can see all of those problems for what they really are. We can allow all those problems just to melt away. They're very real and here when we're stuck in this life. But when we step back, it's easier for us just to look at them and think, oh boy, why was I letting that affect my life so deeply? Why was that even happening at all? And so we have this idea that we can remove ourselves from the trouble and toil of daily life by moving into this Ming Ju state, true self. Okay, so let ourselves slowly finish here. Slowly wind down, slowly relax, slowly come to a stop. Let's gather some chi. Lift up. Let's let that chi pour down through the body. Drift gently. Move chi inside. Allow the chi to flow. Let's gather. And gently pull. Gathering chi. Allowing that chi to gently drift down through the body. Moving the energy deep inside. Focusing into the very core of you. Connecting. Okay, let's go into some simple forward and back bends. So just lifting the hands up. Stretch up into the blue sky, nice long stretch. And then we can turn, just go over with the arms and ears. Gently move into the upper back, middle back, and the lower back. Let everything soften, relax. Back of the neck, soften and relax. Nice and easy. Great, okay. Let's extend softly toward the toes. And release. In line with the roots of the toes. And release. Toward the insteps. And release. Back towards our heels, nice deep bend. Release and relax, body hangs. Lift the tailbone up behind, gently push the tailbone to the front, roll the spine up and take up head, arms and ears. Stretch up into the blue sky, nice long stretch. Knees and hips drift forward as you lean back. Stretching up and gently back. Stretching up, gently back. Up and gently back. Okay, hands up in the blue sky. Let's let the left hand curl softly down. Open the right side of the body. Right hand gently down. Left side of the body opens. On the left. And on the right. Good. Hands up into the blue sky. So we begin the whole process again. Hands are stretched up. Arms and ears tip over. Roll into the upper back, the middle back, the lower back. Let the body hang and relax down. Nice and easy. Soften the back of the neck completely. Keep the knees nice and soft. Okay, great. We gently drift down toward the toes and release. In line with the roots of our toes and release. Working toward our insteps and release. Back toward the heels. Relax, release. So we softly lift the tailbone up behind and then push the tailbone to the front of the body. Roll the spine gently up. Up come the arms and the ears as one piece. Stretching up into the blue sky. Release knees and hips forward as you lean back. Stretching up and gently back. Up and back. up and back. Good. Let the left hand drift down, right hand of the body open, right side of the body open. Down the right side. Gently open the left. Down the left. And down on the right. Draw the hands up into the blue sky once more. So let's try and do these as straight legs now. So we get a little extra hamstring stretch there. Hands up in the blue sky. Arms and ears are the only things to tip over. Upper back, middle back, lower back. Relax down, body hangs, back of the neck relaxed. Softly extending down towards our toes. And then release that bend. Imagining a line between the roots of our toes and release. Imagining a line between the insteps and release. Imagining a line between the heels, stretching down toward that. Release, relax, body hangs. Lift the tailbone up behind, tailbone pushes to the front, spine starts to roll up, head, arms and ears gently roll up, stretch up into the blue sky. Left side of the body curls down, right side of the body gently open. Down on the right. Open the left. Down on the left. We gently open the right. And then down on the right. Gently opening up on the left. Hands up into the blue sky, stretching up. Okay, with this beautiful long stretch, let's let the head and the arms and the ears go over. Roll into the upper back, middle back, and the lower back. Body sinks and relaxes. Back of the nine, back of the neck, soft. Knees straight. Body hangs. Let the weight go slightly forward into your toes so you can really feel the hamstrings open. Make our first little extension down toward the toes. And release. In line with the roots of our toes. And release. Working down toward our insteps. And release. Working down toward our heels. Body's relaxed and hangs. Lift the tailbone up behind. Push tailbone to the front. Roll the spine up. The head, arms and ears gently come up. Stretch up into the blue sky. Drift the knees and hips forward as we lean back. Stretching up and gently back. Up and gently back. Up and back. Lovely. Hands up in the blue sky. Left hand gently curls down. Right side of the body softly open. Right side down. Left side drifting open. On the left. And on the right. Hands up into the blue sky. Let's let our hands drift gently down. Gather chi. Gather gathering and lifting. Gently pouring. Once more. All of the chi focusing down into the belly, connecting down into the earth below. Let's gather once more. And gently pour. Draw the hands to the belly now. Let the hands settle there, deep on lower dantian. Mind moves down. So if you're familiar with these warm-up exercises, been through them many times, just brings you to a still, quiet space. Your mind's not required to engage in the process. Your body just automatically does it. Your mind settles down behind, just becomes quiet. So this is the starting point, the beginning of our finding our way to our center, to our true self. Just relax in this state for a moment or two. Soften the knees, body nice and straight. Tailbones moving forward just a few millimeters between the legs lifting up. Deep inside lower dantian rolls gently towards the back. Ming Men gate open. Spine long. Bai Hui on top of the head, open. The soles of the feet, Yong Quan, the kidney points, open. Qi flowing into our body. Just maintain that stance for a few moments. Bring a little ventilation to my room. A little bit hot here this morning. So in this really still, simple state, this is where we're going to do our Ming Ju Meditation. Consciousness discovering itself. So we often hear when we're talking about consciousness, people talking about mirrors. Mirrors are quite extraordinary things, really. You can imagine seeing yourself reflected in a pool of water from time to time, but until mirrors became commercially available, it was rare for people to actually see themselves. It's this powerful idea that light can pass through glass to bounce off a surface and reflect back to us, giving us an image of ourselves. So this is the same thing we're asking about. Finding an image of your consciousness. Finding your consciousness being reflected back to you so that you can actually see and experience your consciousness. This is what our seeking of our true self is about. It's about consciousness seeing itself for the first time. It's becoming a mirror so that your own consciousness can see itself. So as we know, a mirror is not a true reflection of ourselves, as it were. We have to go from ourselves out to the mirror and back. So it's like a third party, kind of like, providing the reflection for us. So we have to find a tool to provide that reflection for us inside, as it were. So the first and most important thing for us to do is to relax, because it's not possible to do this kind of work when you're in a hyper state, when things are zinging around in your head. But also, there's this idea that if we continuously search for our true self, if we continuously bring ourselves into this chi state, that the field that we are searching in, i.e. the Zheneng Qigong field, it'll become easier for everybody because we're all searching in the same place with the same idea. So we can lift the vibration of all of us just by being in the same chi field together. This is the purpose of Dr. Pang's 8 phrases, to bring us all into consciousness alignment, to bring us all into the same chi field. I suppose a simple analogy would be like tuning your radio in to your favorite radio station. These days it's all digital, but in the old days you used to have to twist a knob and refine it and get it closer and closer until you got the best reception. And so this is what we're doing, is gently refining that connection, bring ourselves ever more accurately into the chi field. So the Zheneng Qigong chi field holds all the information that you need to find this place, this thing, this state that we're looking for. It's not difficult. It's the most simple thing in the whole world. But unfortunately, our brains don't believe that. And our brains want to make it the most complicated thing in the whole world and the most difficult thing in the whole world. Obfuscation. That's sort of the idea of hiding things, making it more obscure. And so we're constantly trying to obscure these things from ourselves. Let's be more focused about that. Our ego is constantly trying to obscure things, because when we talk about becoming one unity consciousness, that really represents the death of the ego. And so they say, when you're walking along the path and you meet Buddha, you have to kill Buddha, or you meet the patriarchs, you have to kill the patriarchs. It's not a sort of a violent thing, but it's this idea that if you're still finding things, if you're still meeting people on your journey, then they're just kind of apparitions. You're still kind of not there yet. You have to go past all of these ideas and come out the other side, no longer needing to meet Buddha because you become Buddha. So what we're searching for is Buddha mind. One of the tools to take us to Buddha mind is Ming Ju Meditation, which is what we're going to do today. So we're constantly working away with this idea of dissolving ego. And the first thing that happens when you talk about dissolving ego is that you, as your ego self, start to panic. You think, well, actually, I don't want to get rid of my ego. Doesn't that mean getting rid of my personality, getting rid of who I am, getting rid of, all of my lovely things that make up me that I've spent years cultivating? Yes and no. Ego is a fabulous thing. It's a wonderful tool. And so the perfect example of an ego would be someone like a doctor. They get into their surgery and then they become Dr. Jeremy and they do all of their doctoring things. And at 5 o'clock, they walk out and they go home and they become Jeremy the dad and Jeremy the gardener and Jeremy the, whatever. And so that would be a perfect example of your ego as a tool. It's a persona you put on to make something happen. And so you can maintain a downsized tool to use during your daily life. You can go into teacher mode or doctor mode or scientist mode or whatever mode you might have that you've used during your life, researcher mode, but you realize that that's not who you are. You just realize that's a tool that you can use on a daily basis. But what becomes of you when you no longer are able to put that tool down, when it becomes so securely glued to you, there's no way to break out from it. And so we have this kind of, interesting dichotomy of becoming so convinced that you are the doctor, so convinced you are the teacher, that it's no longer possible to be your true self because this has become so secured, so glued, so important to you. Oh, it's so important that people see me as this great intellect. It's so important that people see me as this great doctor, teacher, auteur, whatever it might be. And then you've lost touch in a way. You've lost the point, missed the point. So there it is. So we use a tool like Ming Ju to go past, to remove ourselves from this kind of tool, as it were, to put the tool back in the box for a little while. And so when you can see everything for what it really is, that's when it's important. So to say, okay, well, I know who Jeremy is. I know what Jeremy's thinking. I know what Jeremy's saying. I know what his point is there. That's not who he really is. That's just a tool he's using to navigate the here and now. Jeremy telling a funny story about Alan Watts. Oh, there's Jeremy the teacher, pops up. Jeremy talking about health. There's Jeremy the doctor popping up. So all of these different aspects and tools lie there in my toolbox. But if they become welded on, and I can't release Jeremy the teacher, Jeremy the healer, Jeremy the doctor, or whatever it might be, then that's it. Ego's won. It's taken over. That's who you are for the rest of your days. You can't see there's any other possibility. You can't see there's anything behind it. You just believe your own press. You believe your own story. You're so convinced that you've now become, so perfect and everything is right. But of course, the truth of the matter is that behind all of that framework is this fabulous, wonderful consciousness, your true self. So we have a lovely tool called Ming Ju. But the first part of it is to use Dr. Pang's relaxation. Dr. Pang's 8 phrases that tell us how this all works. The first idea in 8 phrases is connected to the earth, connected to the heavens, chi flowing down and surging up, meeting deep inside you. You realizing that you're a chi being, that you're part of this wonderful, connected world of chi. The next idea is about relaxation, making sure you're soft and relaxed, making sure that you hold no tension in your body. Because if anything's tense, then you're never going to allow it to heal when you're holding yourself too tightly. Then there's this idea of inside and outside, just pointing out to you that you've become so convinced that you're separate to everybody else, so convinced that this is your problem, your idea, your world, whatever it is, that you've lost touch with the fact that you're actually completely connected to everything. that you are totally at one with everything. As I often say, you're just a little chi vegetable floating around in a beautiful chi soup with all of the delicious tastes, spices, flavors, all of the different sensations, all of the different, I was just trying to think of the when you eat on your mouth, the crunch and the softness, all of the different taste feelings as well. I'm sure the word's screaming out, but anyway, I've forgotten it. You're in this lovely chi soup. The next idea that comes from that is no inside and no outside. Well, that's very clear. No inside, no outside leaves us then in a quiet spot, or it asks us to be in a quiet spot to experience that. So can you bring your mind to heal for a little while? Can you slow your mind down sufficiently that it's not chuntering on about some daft thing? It's not constantly talking to you about the day, the program, the things you're trying to do, things you're trying to achieve, your body, your illness, your health. It's not constantly just talking, it just goes quiet. So when we come into our bodies, our minds can just be quiet. The next thing in Dr. Pang Zeit's phrases asks us to examine our body. Just gently feel your body, feel the connection with the outside world. Feel into your body and see if there's anything that's particularly seems out of place, doesn't seem quite right today, something that could be worked with. So whilst we're inhabiting the inside of our body, we can just look round and gently bring our attention to anything that might need a little bit of help. So we can focus into that. And then he asks you to take that focus away, no longer inside, but what about outside? What about the process of going from the inside to the outside? From the core of your bones, from the center of your body, gently dissolving out into the muscles, gently dissolving out into the skin, gently dissolving out into the chi beyond your skin. So very often I ask you to think of blue sky. And if I say blue sky, you can think of a blue sky day. And that takes you out into the sort of atmosphere of our world. Sometimes I ask you to think about the universe, the vastness of the universe. And we journey out past the Milky Way and the planets out into the universe depths. And then we draw back from the universe deep inside. Or we draw back from the blue sky deep inside. These are very long journeys, but also realize that just round your skin is the chi. In your room you're working is all chi. You don't have to stretch to the four corners of the universe to benefit from this vast chi that surrounds us all. So there we have Dr. Pang's 8 phrases. Body relax, mind expand, connect above and below. Feel the chi everywhere in your body. Feel yourself dissolve into the chi field. And then he points out that if we practice like this, that you are doing the same thing as the millions and millions of people around the world who do Zheneng, doing Zheneng at this very moment. And that you're hooking into not only the chi field, but you're hooking into their information as well. So think about that. The information of what makes up you. So if you are just a blob of undifferentiated chi, what actually makes you into who you are? And that is information. So information plus chi equals change, really. So you move from being nothing into something. You start to become you. It's the information that flows through the universe defines you. And it's consciousness that operates and makes all of this happen. So now consciousness streaming through you, bringing this information to your body. But the information that comes to your body goes through filters that you've put there, filters that society has given you, filters that your parents, religion, politics, life, partners, children have given you. And so now we want to remove all of those filters and just allow pure information to flow into our lives. If you think about light going through a crystal or a prism or a window or something like that, we know that light bends when it sort of hits surfaces and moves through things. And it's kind of like the difference between direct light into your life and light that's being bounced off something. Light that's being bounced off something takes its kind of, changes its character. And so now the consciousness that's been bound through the circumstances of your birth, the consciousness that's been bound through the prism of your parents, the consciousness that's been bounced through your schooling and your life and your religion and your church and your friends and your family and your lovers, and it all bends and twists and bounces in different ways. We push it all out of the way just so we have pure consciousness. And when we connect in this pure stream of consciousness in the chi field, then this is where healing comes. This is where complete healing. Allow yourself to be bathed in your absolute pure consciousness. So let's just think of this as like light. The light of consciousness flowing toward your head, bathing you. Imagine standing, sort of dappled sunlight, and then suddenly your head is illuminated by a shaft of sunlight. Soft, beautiful light dissolves your head gently into the chi field. Allow the light to continue and to dissolve your neck. And inside the neck, your shoulders, down your arms to your fingertips, dissolving into the chi field. Imagine your whole spine from the neck down to the tailbone turns into a chi spine. Imagine your chest, breast, softening, lungs and heart, dissolving to the middle of the body, the stomach and spleen, liver, kidneys, all of the organs gently dissolving down to the lower part of the body with the reproductive organs. Your whole alimentary canal dissolves into chi. All of the nerves in your body dissolve into chi. All of your endocrine system dissolving into chi. Chi in your tailbone, your hips and pelvis, gently dissolving those into chi. We allow this chi to cascade down into our thighs, soften and relax, dissolve into chi, dissolving your knees, dissolving your calves, dissolving your shins, dissolving your ankles, your Achilles, dissolving the soles of the foot, the toes, the whole of the foot dissolves into chi. And so we have the whole of the body is now just a simple chi body. You try and leave your chi body in a comfortable posture. Doesn't matter if you move, as long as you keep a steady mind. Sometimes I move my tailbone a bit just to loosen the lower back off. Sometimes I circle the hips a little bit just to loosen the hips off. Sometimes I sink lower into my knees just to exercise a little bit more in the thighs and calves. I'm always thinking about keeping that nice straight spine, chin a little bit tucked. Sometimes the lower back gets sore and I'll just tuck my tailbone forwards. Sometimes the middle back gets sore and I'll just lift my breastbone a little bit and move my shoulders backwards. Sometimes the neck gets sore. I might just stretch my neck up a little bit and tuck my chin in slightly, move my head softly from side to side. So all of these tiny little micro movements just help to sustain this softened posture. Dissolve into chi, relax into chi, whole body soft in chi. So the first place we seek our consciousness is in Shenji Palace. I think Shenji Palace is an old-fashioned name for Upper Dantian, center of your head, pineal gland, pituitary gland, around there, right in the very core of your brain. And we use the phrase Shenji. So Shenji Palace, we say Shenji. You can gently say Shenji. Sometimes I make the tone slightly higher, so it seems like it's ringing in my head rather than in my chest. Shenji. That feels a little bit better. Shenji. Shenji. So we're gently calling the center of our brain, gently allowing this tone to vibrate in the core of your head. Shenji. Sometimes you have to change the note to find a slightly different one. Shenji. Shenji. Sometimes it can just become a gentle hum in the very core of your brain. Shenji. Say Shenji silently inside your head. Deep inside your head, observe the subtle vibration. Whole body empty yet not empty. Bring your attention to Shenji Palace, deep in the core of your brain. Feel it glow. Allow Shenji Palace to gently expand through the center of your brain, through the center of your head. Imagine the whole of your head gently glow with Shenji Palace's light. Imagine that you can open up your head. I always have a lovely image like an observatory door opening, peeling back to reveal Shenji glowing. Allow Shenji to gently expand. Expand Shenji into the workspace you're in. Expand Shenji into the city or the town or the countryside you're in. Expand Shenji to fill the whole of your country. Expand Shenji to fill the whole of your continent. Expand Shenji to fill the whole of our world. Continue beyond the world, expanding Shenji out into the blue sky. Expand Shenji beyond, out into our solar system. Expand Shenji beyond. Imagine our galaxy, the Milky Way. Expand Shenji beyond the vastness of our universe. Expand Shenji beyond. Fill the universes, the vastness of all totality. You dissolved, your consciousness dissolved, out, out, out. So let's gently start to draw ourselves back. When we feel that we've merged with the universe, we can start to draw the universe back towards lower Dantian. So just imagine traveling back to our universe, to our Milky Way. Imagine traveling back to our solar system, seeing our planets. We slowly find our way to our beautiful blue planet. We slowly find our way back to our continent, country, city or town. Eventually we find our way back to our practice space. And it's as if we can bring the power of the entire universe back and encapsulated deep inside Upper Dantian. Gently observe your head filled with qi. Gently observe your neck. Start to observe into your shoulders and your arms. Start to observe the totality of your spine, of your upper body, middle body, down into the lower torso, feeling into the hips and pelvis, feeling down into the thighs and knees, down into the calves, ankles and feet. Feel the totality of your body filled with this universal qi. Feel pure awareness throughout your entire body. Body aware, open. Now we change and we say shu. Very simple tone. But what it does, it makes the inner space finer. It allows us to merge better with the universe. It allows us to inhabit our inner space. So the tone is shu, shu. In Chinese pinyin, it's XU, but it actually sounds like shu. take a breath in. Shu. Allowing you to merge with the universe. Merge into the infinite universe. Your inner space chi becomes as fine as the universe's chi. Your chi becomes as fine as the universe's chi. We can become more and more quiet with our shu tone. Saying shu quietly inside. Universal chi is infinite and pure. Relax into the infinity of the universe. Become one with the totality of the universe. Gently saying shu deep inside. See yourself as total consciousness. Feel the intention of the moment before we say shu. Shu. There's a moment of pure, clear consciousness just before shu arises and manifests. Shu. That pure, perfect moment before shu arises, filled with possibility, pregnant with possibility. Shu. From this pure Ming Ju state, send information throughout your whole body. Whole body, pure. Every time we say shu, the state becomes more and more pure. Shu. Aware of this perfect moment arising before we say shu. Then shu. Information throughout our body. Try to keep this state. Keep sending healing to your body. Keep yourself in this shu state. Shu. When you find during your day that you've floated away, bring yourself back just by saying shu. Feel your whole body pure, perfect, filled with chi. Shu. Just a couple more times before we finish. Allow this chi to be through your body, to be in your body. Shu. The shu state heals the whole of your body. You in perfect, perfect connection with all there is. A perfect, pure version of you. If your hands are moved away from your belly, you can just draw them back there. We bring our intention back into lower dantian. Just remain in lower dantian for a moment. We can gently step on chi to bring our feet back together into the standing posture. So we can keep this idea of shu inside our bodies all day. You can feel this conscious connection all day. But of course we have to come back and navigate this daily life. So let's just draw ourselves back from a chi state, back into a physical state. We can gently turn 3 circles round lower dantian. So turning 3 circles round lower dantian just draws any excess energy deep into the core of your body, brings you back to yourself, as it were. And then when we turn 3 circles in the opposite direction, that allows the chi to focus deep inside. But it also allows the body to come back into being, to kind of like connect with this world that we live in. So we bring ourselves back into our daily mode, bring ourselves back into the physicality of our bodies. As we stand here, don't forget your chi field around you, the Wei chi layer, protecting you, keeping you safe, this wonderful barrier of chi around your skin. But then round that as well, your chi body, a meter above, meter below, left, right, front, back, this vast chi bubble protects you. See yourself as a being of light inside your shields of energy. Every cell in your body safe, working well. Every cell in your body returns back to perfect working order. From this shu state that we've experienced, we're able to change any problem in our body, able to fix any problem in our body. Allow shu to be there with you all day. Allow shu to work through your life. When you're challenged, just think of shu, gently drifting and melting your life. So, here we are, a being of light in our chi shields, chi deep inside, everything in the body working well. This abundance of energy flowing through the body. And this shu tone vibrating gently and connecting us with all there is. We let our hands gently down by our sides. We slowly open our eyes. We can just bring a little movement back into the body. And I just have to make a little adjustment on Zoom. If you bear with me one moment. Spotlight. There we go. Okay, so if you'd like to unmute yourselves, we'll say Haola together. Okay, so Haola means good already. All of this work we've done is already fixed. Everything is working well. So let's just lift the hands up in the air. 1, 2. Haola. 1, 2. Haola. And the last time. 1, 2. Haola. Oh, lovely. Thank you very much for being here. We have a little salute for each other. Really good to see you this morning. Enjoy this meditation. Let it be with you all day today, and then pass it on to any friends and family who might enjoy it. And I'd love to see you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.